Okay, this is an overview of a project that I've been working on for my son Leo, who's graduating from UW Oshkosh with a journalism major and a minor in radio, TV, film. He wanted me to basically create a piece of artwork for a movie camera, 1930s, 1940s movie camera. Out of a medium that I had used for another project that I had done for Tunderland. And you can see here, this is the medium on a stained glass window, or a window that is supposed to mirror stained glass. So this is an old window. It's got some dimension to it. So this is a very heavy, thick window. And it's got a lot of color to it. And the piece that I had done that he really liked was a microphone. And he wanted me to use that same medium for this camera. And if you look here, this camera has got a lot of lines to it. And to transpose all those lines in this medium would be very difficult to do. And I really wanted to capture this camera, and I also wanted it to be three-dimensional. And so I began to think of what could give me that dimension, and what I came up with is clay. So I thought of traditional clay, of firing it, but I don't have a kiln, and I don't have access to a kiln, so I thought of dry clay. And I saw some dry clay at the store, and I thought I could utilize that, so I did buy some dry clay. And I had never used this medium before, so this is dry clay. You let it sit, and according to the directions, it can crack over time, so I was very, very nervous about working with it. And what I did is I took this drawing and made it into a larger piece. And then with the clay is very, very soft, obviously when it's not dry. And then what I did is I rolled it with a roller pin, just to create flat pieces of clay. And to make this one single camera with one piece of clay would be very, very difficult to do. You can imagine, the size of this thing is a good, 14 to 15 inches in one solid piece. So what I did is basically designed it so I could make each separate component by itself. And you can see the camera itself has got some dimension. So, this is the furthest back. Then you've got this piece. Then this comes on top of it. This goes underneath. It's connected to the base of the camera. The lens is over the top of the main part of the camera. And then you've got your reel-to-reel and your crank case for the reel-to-reel all sitting on a stand. So these are all kind of stacked on top of one another. So I basically created a template out of paper. So this is literally traced. And then I cut them like a cookie cutter in each of the pieces of clay. And we can actually, I'm actually working on it as we speak. And over here, you can actually see that piece. Here's the reel-to-reel. You can see the dimension of it. Here's the viewfinder. This is the mount for the viewfinder. This is the stand. This is the turnstile. This is the lens. And then over here, here's the base of the camera, and then the lens of the camera. So all these pieces I made with the dry clay, carved it out with these, carving tools, which are, various sizes and shapes. And right now I'm in the process of basically, grinding off, the imperfections that are on here with, file, with a file with sandpaper, sanding it down, and then taking out any imperfections, just kind of going in there and then, picking out the imperfections to get it ready for painting. So you have to prime these, and so these will be primed with white paint. And then after they're painted with white paint, then I'm going to paint it with these very vibrant test model paints. So very, very colorful, and they have a glossy finish to them. And then what will happen is I will mount this, or actually I have another set that I've already mounted onto a board. And so I use this wax glue gun and wax to hold them all together. And then styrofoam is used to raise this off the back mount, so it's got some depth to it, so if I needed to slide a piece underneath there, I'll be able to do it, and it's not going to interfere with that piece. So these all have been with another set. These have all been created. This camera is for my stepson Jared, and the piece that I've already completed is for my son Leo. And each of these are a gift. One for Leo is a gift for his graduation, and then this one for Jared is a gift for Christmas. And each of them are very interested in movies. In fact, they have a podcast called In the Can, and they talk about movies from the past and also from the present. So, here you can actually see the finished piece. It's already mounted, inside this framing. I'm just going to go ahead and take this framing out of here. Then you can actually get a better look here of what it looks like. So, this is sitting below this piece. I can actually put my finger underneath there. This piece is over the top of that piece, and then this piece sits underneath here, and then your crank is over the top of that, and then you've got your viewfinder and then this apparatus. Now, this apparatus is supposed to be connected to here, but I left them unconnected, and the reason for that is the frame itself is only so thick, and if I put this on here, that would raise the top to this all the way up. But I figured, looking at it, you still get the sense of that it's a camera, even though this mount isn't there. And this is really the only camera of its kind. In fact, when I went onto the internet, there's very few pictures of this particular camera that are out there, and to have something that's dimensional like this and to be mounted, in this frame, and then to hang it on the wall, it's just going to look great once it gets onto the wall, and hopefully it will last for years to come. So the mount, actually, I've got besides the wax glue that's holding this piece on top of this piece, there's actually a real screw. It looks very similar to this screw right here. That's a real screw that goes all the way to the back, and then here's another screw that goes all the way to the back. And if we turn this around, we can actually see, those bolts are holding it in place, so that this will, hold itself together, over time. So the other thing I wanted to mention about anyone watching this that is interested in working with dry clay is it's very important that you let the clay dry slowly, and you notice I really don't have any cracking going on, and that was a concern. And one of the reasons why I believe I didn't have cracking as it was drying is because the basement is a higher humidity level, and it dried very slowly. But now these are very, very hard, very, very dry, and I'm going to be able to go through and put everything together much quicker because I'm familiar with the process of how everything fits together, and what is going to be painted. The paint sequence is going to be a little bit different I painted the black lines first, and then I painted the color, and this time I'll put all the color in, then paint the black lines, and then the silver. So it should go much quicker, and I've got about 4 days to do it. So that's an overview of the camera project for Leo and Jared.